Do you see? When we judge and cross-examine and pry into and reveal as we feel the truth of the matter, we don't at all. We're not coming up with the true history. We are creating the present historicity of it. And, in the congressional hearings, the person may feel condemned or condemned by his public. And it's true, they are condemning him. But it's a historicity. It's not the reality that he has experienced. It's not how he saw it. It's not the dilemma he was in. It's something rewritten that he's now blamed for. You see, the fault is we don't love him. We are in an organisation, or pretending to be, and judging him accordingly as to whether he's come up to what was required of him. He's not just some servant of some worldly organisation. He's a child of God. A child, yes. And's been entrusted to this position. But he's a child, just as you are. Just as you and your mistaken view are right to be judging at present, but it's not valid. He's no more responsible than you are. And you kid yourself you're responsible until someone says you're responsible for someone else, and then you think, this is not so, this is unjust, this is not fair. This is not how I see it. I was, in the case of the senators, trying to put society right as I understand it. I'm trampling all over this man, but it's necessary. Look at the trouble he's caused. In other words, you come in with blame, which justifies your present torture of the situation to good. God doesn't achieve good in this way. If we have ears to hear, he tells us he's our loving dad, cares for us and provides. You see, it's different. It's invaluable. Look, I'm not saying I know. I'm saying that from my childish, limited background, I've chosen to choose to trust. And I find much happiness, peace and joy, and love and kindness in such a position to take. It's not going to put this world right. People have been trying to put it right for thousands of years. It's still been incredibly wrong from some points of view, especially our point of view as children in it. And we make as many mistakes as they did in the past. We feel innocent of them, and then we find we're guilty of them, or at least so the judge said, and so society and perhaps the media says. And so it goes on and on. We must stop being part of this sorry scheme of things entire, where we're despairing of the port I am come that you might have life. What is that life? Life can't exist without what we see in the parent. Love, care, loving kindness, protection, provision, tenderness, embrace. What the parents try to provide, ideally as we understand it, and feel mortified when they're judged for not achieving such. Of course they didn't achieve it. They're kids themselves, but what a wonderful intention. Isn't that to be commended? Aren't we there to rescue them from their mistakes, not to condemn them? What can we do to help this official who's caught in a web of secrecy and deception and probably fear and violence? We need love, compassion, certainly for the victim, but we need to see who is victim as well. Every child in society has the problem of being a child. Incompetence. We may have chosen this guy because he seemed to be the best choice, and now he seems to not be. He seems to be anything but the best choice. Are you going to condemn him for society having put him in the place where he's risen to his level of incompetence? I don't think so. I think we will say, what can we appreciate in this man whose desire to be held with respect, being a good citizen, good person, perhaps a lovely dad at home, perhaps a good husband, perhaps a helpful neighbour, perhaps a good friend, perhaps someone who's cared for and rescued some creature in the garden. Perhaps we can encourage him in the right path instead of condemning him for going the wrong way. Perhaps we do need to relieve him of his post, but not in vengeance, but in compassion. Yes, for the victims that have been subject to his actions, but in compassion for him too, that we understand, because we're kids too. And but for the grace of God, we would be him. And perhaps the reality is we are him. And all will be revealed when we see more clearly. We don't know. All we know is he needs help. Are we able to give it? Not give it in a way that doesn't rescue his victims. We've said his victims, but he's not seen it that way. You could say that's because he's deluded. Well, is that his fault? If I'm a madman, am I to be held responsible for my madness? Or did circumstances cause me to be mad? Some brain damage or inadequacy at birth or whatever. Don't you realize this concept of blame is the very bedrock of evil? Whereas the concept of love is the very bedrock of creativity. Do you wish to create a new world, or are you focusing on destroying an old one? You can destroy an old one and weed your flower bed and find you have what you've got. An empty, desolate flower bed. You need to plant flowers, trees, something lovely. And you have the wherewithal to do it. You're a fantastic creator, like our God. You can come with good intention and blessing everywhere it's needed. Everywhere. I don't mean ignoring the victims. We rush to rescue all victims, including the perpetrator. It's very simple, really. It's pretty obvious. I mean, it didn't take rocket science analysis and philosophy to master it, did it? Any loving parent can tell you that. And you are a loving parent. In your heart, you're a child of God. He's the most fantastic parent, beyond your imagination. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.